This Late Night Linux Family podcast is made possible by our patrons. Go to latenightlinux.com/support for details of how you can join them. Support us on Patreon for access to ad-free episodes and early releases. That's latenightlinux.com/support. Hello and welcome to episode 355 of Late Night Linux, recorded on the 6th of October 2025. I'm Joe, and with me are Phelim.
Best month of the year.
Graham.
Good evening.
And Will.
Spooky season is here.
Immich has finally got a stable release, version 2. This is the open source Google Photos clone, and I tried it out finally, and it's fucking brilliant.
For people who don't know, give us a rundown of what it can do. What is it exactly?
Yeah, I suppose you don't know about Google Photos, do you? So,
No.
Google Photos, you can upload all your photos to Google, in this case to your own server, or you can just import your old library of photos into it. Then you install the app on your phone or go via a browser, and it's just got all your photos there. And you can set it to automatically back up the new photos that you take with your phone. And then it just gives you a really nice gallery that is searchable because it implements machine learning that is actually surprisingly good. Like, search for cat, and there's a bunch of pictures of the cat. I searched for tomatoes, and sure enough, there was some tomatoes.
So does it have iOS and Android apps as well then?
Yes, it does. I've only used the Android app, which is it's just like a proper clone of Google Photos. And yeah, it seemingly is available for iOS as well.
And so those apps don't feel clunky or slow, or they feel as good and as polished as you would hope they would be?
Well, caveat here is that I only tested this briefly on a laptop and didn't import all of my photos. So I don't know if it's going to slow down when I import thousands of photos. I imported like about 50 just to see if it would work before kind of committing to production. And I'm glad I did, actually, because I ran into a Docker issue with Ubuntu, because seemingly in Ubuntu 24.04, they ship Docker Compose 1 or something, and you have to have V2. I don't know. I don't really know that much about Docker yet, but I feel like I wanted to test it first. So yeah, in summary of that, I don't know. I think it's pretty smooth, but then I've not thrown thousands of photos and videos at it yet.
Does this kind of run on your phone? If you take photos and they get stored in the phone album, do they get uploaded via this as well, or is this just purely you have to import them into it?
You can set it to upload automatically your photos that you're taking to Immich, yeah.
Okay, that's quite cool.
But then obviously if you're not on your network or not, connected via VPN, you can't search through your whole library, which is the one downside. Obviously with Google Photos, you're always connected to the cloud. But I mean, you can do that with VPNs and stuff. It's not rocket science. Or run it on a VPS or something if you wanted to.
I tried this years ago. All of this talk about clouds and corporations has pushed me to install it. So I'm definitely going to install it over the next couple of weeks and move my photos into this. See how far I get and see how convenient it is. But I really love the idea of it, and I've just been lazy and not doing it before now.
I'll be very interested to see how you get on with assuming that you don't expose your photo album to the internet, even behind a username and password, I will still be very interested to know how you get on with the taking photos and then syncing when you get home thing, because it sounds like it should work perfectly, but I'm interested to know if it does or not.
Yeah, I mean, I tested it briefly by taking a photo and it synced just immediately. So, but I've not done a real world test of this yet.
Funny thing is, I use Nextcloud on my phone to sync that stuff up. The minute I hit my Wi-Fi, it uploads all that stuff there, and then at the end of a month, I just delete stuff off my phone, and I have it stored locally here. I mean, it would be nice to have access to it in this sense, but I do rely nicely on the upload feature of Nextcloud for that. So, yeah, be interesting to see how that gets on then.
Well, there's nothing stopping you keeping that as it is. And what I've done is, so I've got something similar, except mine isn't Nextcloud. I use the thing called Folder Sync, which just copies it to my NAS. I'm pretty sure it's got rsync running in the background. And so every day or whatever, while I'm asleep, it just syncs all my photos to my NAS. And so what I decided to do for this, I've kind of pre-set this up is I've created another data set and just copied all my photos to that. And it's not that much. I think it's like, I don't know, 30 gigabytes or something. So I'm just keeping those in sync for now. And then I'm going to keep doing what I have been doing, using folder sync to just back them up kind of raw, as it were, to the NAS. And then in addition, I'm going to back it up to a different location on the NAS for a while and see how reliable it is. I mean, it depends how many photos you've got in your library. Like if you've got hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes, that's not really a practical way to do it. But for me, I mean, I've got a quite high number of photos, but a lot of them were taken on like really shit old phones and stuff that were pretty low quality and therefore low file size. So yeah, I think it's, I don't know, maybe 20, 30, 40 gigs, something like that.
I have about 70 gigs of photos, so yeah, it's nothing crazy, in fairness.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be that difficult to just like create another data set and rsync them over.
Yeah.
Or even ZFS send it over. One cool thing is, there were some selfies of me and the cat, and it said, you know, who's this? Like, do you want to add a name to this face? And there was my fat face. And so I put Joe on there, and now I can just search through for all of me. And so obviously when I import the whole library, I can add everyone's names to it. And so it's kind of like that creepy Facebook thing, except it's all local. And so you're not giving that data away to anyone. It's all just sitting on your server. But you have the advantage of like, oh, I want to look up this friend, and, you know, it just uses the machine learning stuff to work out which photos are with who.
So I did try that with Digicam once just to see how good it was, and it kind of worked. Wouldn't say it was definitely very accurate, but yeah, I could see the use.
Well, my experience of the machine learning stuff has been really good in my test. So I look forward to testing it properly with my whole library and being able to search through. Because with Google Photos, I can only search through to when I started using Google Photos, which was maybe 10 years ago. But I've got stuff going back another 10 plus years before that, which I'll now be able to search through, hopefully.
Okay, I think what you have to do there, though, is include a bunch of Greg Wallace photos in your library. So at least there's a comparable large, bald, white man also to compete against, not just a series of pictures of Joe with a cat. It's like, which is the cat, which is Joe? Oh, it's about a 75% accuracy.
Well, the thing is, it's going to be just really depressing looking back at the old photos when I was thin and had hair. And just watching me slowly get fatter and more bald.
It happens to us all.
So I hear. All right, this is pretty cool. The open source printer you can repair yourself is powered by a Raspberry Pi Zero-W. Except that it's an inkjet, and inkjets can just fuck off.
The people who tried to do the open laser one can't see anything anymore. So, yeah, I'm happy that it's an inkjet. It's totally fine by me. And this could make me love printing again. Oh, my God. No, well, make me love printing for the first time ever maybe might be more correct.
And this uses standard HP cartridges, but without any of the DRM stuff. So you can get knockoff ones, and it's not going to moan about it. Although this is just a crowdfunder on crowd supply. So I'm not really that confident that it will actually happen and be on budget and everything, but I really, really hope it does, because it's pretty cool. It prints on a roll of paper and cuts it to A4 or A3 by default, I think. But you can also just print a long banner or something. You don't have to cut it at A4. So this does look really quite promising.
I really like the idea as well. We've got a brother printer that works well, but it's used infrequently, but we still have to have it. This looks like a great replacement. And also, looking at the design with the roll of paper at the top, it looks like a toilet roll. So I could probably put it in the toilet and then use it for toilet paper and as a printer.
Or go to like the local primary school where they're bound to have that horrible shiny brown stuff that they used to have. Yes. And you can just take it out and then you can look eco-warrior. Look at me. I'm printing on my non-bleached paper because I'm friends of the earth here.
That's great.
Hope you like curly printouts.
Yeah, we need open iron to like iron it flat afterwards.
Hey, look, at least when the printouts fall out and get caught in that wire thing, if you do wall mount it, they're printing out in the fucking correct order. Who the fuck came up with the idea that printers should print arse about first? It's just terrible.
I'm surprised that everyone has so much problems printing. I've had the same Samsung printer that I bought randomly off Amazon years ago. It must be 5 or 6 years old. It works fine. I've never had any problems with it. I don't understand why printing is this universally hated thing.
Well, we had an Epson printer that we had since 2008, I think. And it works better than the one that we bought about a year ago. It's a heap of shit Epson. And I just wish it would actually break. Literally. It's like Mrs. Doyle and a tea machine. I'm pretty sure both me and the wife independently go in and hit it with different tools, but we're actually fixing or breaking each other's bit that we do.
You see, the mistake you made there was not buying a brother. I needed a printer, and I asked on the internet, and people said, get a brother. And so I got a brother, and I plugged it in, and it just works.
I mean, yeah, you might be right. But I want something like this where I don't have to give a shit about printers. There's actually a device where you could print off the cog if that bit breaks, or, the rod is to give you the exact dimensions for it. Because let's face it, why is it still such a closed little sort of box unit that you're effectively paying for by the cartridge?
Capitalism. That's why.
There should be enough 3D printers around that we can make our own.
There should be. But what you need to do is get yourself a brother laser printer, and it's fine. The toner is way cheaper than ink, and you hardly ever have to change it. It's the way forward, I'm telling you. And you plug it into an Ubuntu machine and it just works. I'm told if you connect to the network, but I'm not connecting it to the fucking network. No way. I just plug it in via USB when I need it, turn it on. There's no adding drivers or anything like that. It just Control P, it shows up, brother, whatever it's called, prints the thing. Same with scanning as well. No doubt all thanks to the hard work of Till.
Absolutely.
Okay, this episode is sponsored by Tailscale. Go to tailscale.com/LNL. Tailscale is the easiest way to connect devices and services to each other, wherever they are. Everyone these days has a VPN as a sponsor, but Tailscale isn't like those. This isn't about hiding your browsing habits from coffee shop owners, and it's not about watching Netflix in another country. Tailscale is a proper VPN for connecting your devices securely. It's great for companies, and it's great for self-hosters. Tailscale's personal plan will always be free, and you get up to 100 devices and 3 users for free with no credit card required. So support the show and go to tailscale.com/LNL and try Tailscale out today. Or if you want to use Tailscale at an industrial scale, with more users and devices, or take advantage of features like MDM policies, auditing, network flow logging, and priority support, try it out at work using the code Linux25. You'll get 3 free months of any Tailscale paid plan, and you can find out why thousands of companies like Instacart, Hugging Face, and Duolingo have switched to Tailscale. That's code Linux25. Amazon launches Vega OS, its Android replacement for Fire TV with no sideloading. So this is actually a Linux-based operating system that, in terms of the end user, is just the same as the Fire TV, your Fire Sticks and that sort of thing. But because it's no longer Android, or a fork of Android, you can't sideload stuff onto it. And so this is the beginning of the end for dodgy Fire Sticks, seemingly.
Yeah, it will be bad news for people who have got a cheap Fire TV stick and then stuck Plex or Kodi on it and hooked it up to their own media library, as well as all of those people that are selling these kinds of things down at pubs, preloaded with software to allow you to stream movies and sport and whatever. There's quite a large market for those devices. I don't imagine this is a response to that activity. I think this is more about control of the platform. But it's a real shame because the Fire TV stick was relatively capable once you'd stuck your own software on there. The new version isn't Android and says that it will support all of the streaming apps. So I have to assume that means there'll be HTML5 on top of a Chromium browser or similar. So I don't imagine it will be long until somebody works out a way of making it work.
Maybe. I mean, the big streaming platforms will have been working with Amazon behind the scenes to port their apps to this new platform. And there's a Verge article that we can link to, which is actually paywalled, so I'll have to do an archive.is link for it. But basically, the plan is to stream some apps that haven't actually been ported yet. I'm not sure how exactly that is going to work, but they seem to think it's going to work. So I think all of you big Netflix and, Disney Plus and Paramount Plus and all of that stuff, I think that'll be working day one. But yeah, I do wonder about stuff like Jellyfin. That's my main concern. Is Jellyfin going to work?
It will be interesting to see what the alternatives are when it is finally dead. I've looked over the last few years. I've checked on places like AliExpress for cheap Android set-top boxes. And the most, let's say recommended one was a Nokia one that came up because it had the least kind of spyware and was relatively easy to use. I wonder if there will be a market now for a well-made, well-supported Android TV set-top box without all of the guff on top of it. Probably not, but maybe Jellyfin could get enough people behind them to make their own unit. It wouldn't be terribly expensive. You can buy these things from AliExpress for sort of 10, 15 quid. Maybe they could get their own software on there preloaded.
Maybe, but what you're really talking about is an NVIDIA Shield, I think, which are very expensive.
Yeah.
But that's like a pure Android experience with no bullshit.
I think it's the price, which is the main barrier to entry there. If they can build a device for 20 or 30 quid, then they're probably onto something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know how realistic that is to get something that's actually good and updatable and stuff. Because, I would imagine those AliExpress ones have probably got like really shit MediaTek chips in them and they never get any Android updates and stuff.
They certainly don't get updates. I imagine the chipset is fine, though. And it's got to do is be able to play H.264 and H.265, and it'll be fine for 99% of people. But yeah, no updates. And who knows what else is going to be on there.
But again, this is just more consolidation and control of the platform.
Do you think it brings more of an opportunity to move away from these lockdown platforms? Do you think people creating independent devices where you could put Jellyfin on it yourself or comes with Jellyfin will become more popular or more acceptable? I think it may.
Maybe, but I think the majority of people don't have that anyway. Most people just pay for all the streaming services or, pay for a few of them. Their friend pays for the other few and they share the passwords. I think it's going to massively affect the, copyright infringement aspect of Fire Sticks, though. I don't know if I fully agree with you, Will, that that's not part of the motivation. I think it has to be at least part of it because, Fire Sticks have got this dodgy reputation, at least in the UK. I don't know about other countries, of being, Fire Stick, get the dodgy software on it, stream all the sport and films and everything. And maybe they want to get away from that.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I can imagine Disney leaning on them quite hard to do something about it.
And the sport stuff as well, I think, is a big one. You see in Italy, they really crack down on the streamers. I don't know if it's Fire Sticks there, but it's, some sort of Android streaming devices. And I keep reading headlines about the authorities there cracking down on people streaming live football because it's just such a big business, isn't it?
There's hope that whatever devices they build, eventually drivers for those chipsets find their way into the Linux kernel, or at least the source code for them finds their way to GitHub. And maybe people can find devices with these chips in. I don't think they'll ever be able to reflash the Amazon ones. I'm sure they've learned their lessons over the years and they will make sure that they're not reflashable. But maybe you'll be able to buy an off-the-shelf device that you can reflash with Linux because the drivers are available and you can run whatever you want on it. That seems like the holy grail now. And we've managed without such a device for a long time because the Android sticks would allow you to sideload what you wanted. But if that ceases to be, maybe, just maybe, somebody will make a Linux supporting stick and then we can all go buy one of those.
You're a dreamer, Will, but I like it.
Can you also do a phone while you're at it?
Let's not go mad.
I don't know if this is the right thing to mention, but you can trade in your Amazon devices, including old Fire Sticks and old Alexa devices, and they will at least give you some money for them, and maybe you could use that money to buy something more open. I know this from trading in the Alexa devices that I've replaced with Home Assistant.
I was interested, Graham, about how you're getting on with your Home Assistant devices. I looked this week at the voice recognition ding-dong thing, but it was still seemed very expensive and a little bit prototypey. But I'm interested to know if it's working and meeting all of your needs.
That's a good question. I think it's fair to say it's tested everybody's patience. I'm the only one who's kind of persisting at it.
But now they have no choice.
A little bit. In many ways, it works well. We have it in the kitchen where there's often a lot of background noise, and it's noticeable how less good it is at detecting voices above background noise and music. But it's not bad. The biggest problem is nobody likes any of the trigger words, like "Hey Mycroft" or "Okay Nabu." And I actually installed a custom image to be able to generate another word or there's an image that someone's provided with the Alexa keyword, for example. That would really help. I couldn't get it to work. And you can't update the device very easily after you've done that. That's the main thing. Nobody likes the trigger word. If they could find a way, a library of trigger words, for example, that had much more variety and unofficially supported Alexa, that would help a lot in my household. Because just nobody likes going into the kitchen and saying, "Hey, Nabu, turn on the kitchen lights."
There's got to be some sort of Bash RC equivalent that you can just put the alias in, surely.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's all this machine learning stuff, and you have to train a voice model on it. And people have done this, and there should be a library of such voices, but there's not. In terms of functionality, it works 100%. And the UI to that, actually, in the web interface for Home Assistant is very good. You really have fine control over exposing devices to the Home Assistant, to the voice assistant, and what it actually does. And you can set up all of those things, and you can tell it exactly what you want to do. Set the lights to a level, turn the music on, play the tracks. That's great. But it's the recognition and the trigger word that really has tested everyone's patience, I think.
Just the muscle memory of saying Alexa.
But also, you realise it's a good word. You can see why it was chosen because it's easily detectable and hearable, apart from people with an Alexa in their family, of course. But "Okay Nabu," these things just aren't distinctive enough. I can see when I'm talking in the kitchen and trying to get the device to respond, it's a difficult word to recognise. The X sound in Alexa, I think, is very distinctive, and the G sound in Google is very distinctive. And you can see how easy they are to pick out of a background noise. And Mycroft and Nabu and whatever the other one is, they just don't cut it.
Yeah, I suppose Amazon and Google probably spent some time doing some research on that.
Yeah. The sibilant in Siri as well is the same. I've probably triggered everybody's devices, I'm sorry. But honestly, I think that's a minor problem. I'm surprised they haven't addressed it, considering how far they've got. The hardware is really cheap to build yourself, but I just haven't got the time. It's a pity that somebody hasn't built a cheaper device, and I'd put more of them in the same room or put them more around so that they don't have to be so, working overtime in the kitchen.
I set up a M5 Nano or Echo, I think it's called. It's one of these kind of 2 centimeter square boxes. It's got a microphone in it, but all it does is relay the audio to something with a model running that can do all of the actual heavy lifting. So I very promptly disabled that and put it back in the cupboard. But yeah, it feels like Home Assistant have got enough organization behind them that they could offer a web service that would generate a model for any wake word that you could imagine to test out. And that doesn't seem beyond the realms of possibility.
And that would be a killer feature, actually. I think a lot of people would like that, yeah.
Well, speaking of Home Assistant, the Open Home Foundation has various job vacancies, including a very well-paid community lead role.
Yeah, this is great. They've got 7 jobs open, 2 Python engineers, 2 technical writers, a program manager, and a community lead. They all seem to be paying pretty well, to be honest. But yeah, the community lead one looks very appealing. A great opportunity. But more than that, I think it's very exciting that we have a really good example of an open source project which is used by a lot of people and has built up sufficient financial support out of that open source community to be able to hire a considerable number of people. There's 7 jobs here. I think there's about 5 or 6 people work there already, maybe more. That's suddenly a real company, and there are real people working there, working on real software and getting paid real money. This is really, really good news, I think.
Yeah, and not just they've got some money, they must have predictable and regular money coming in. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah, I think that has come from the partnerships they've been doing with hardware manufacturers to get the Works with Home Assistant branding well known, well recognized, and establish themselves as a kind of leader in all things home automation. Of course, there are a lot of companies out there who want to tie you into their ecosystem, but the nerds have spoken and the nerds have said, we want interoperability and we want Home Assistant. And now we see companies paying money to the Open Home Foundation to offer or guarantee or certify compatibility with Home Assistant. And the virtuous circle we get from that is that now there are jobs working on implementing those features. I think is a really good success story for an open source funding model, which we've talked about so many times. Here's a really good example. You just need something people want.
It makes me want to buy a bunch of Internet of Shit and connect it in my house so I can apply for this job, man. It seems like potentially quite a cool company to work for. Reading through this, being very transparent about the salaries, that isn't always the case. And like loads of time off and stuff like an annual smart home budget to ensure you keep up to date with the latest that smart homes offer.
It sounds like a pretty sweet gig to me.
Yeah. If only I wasn't so busy making all these shows and being on holiday 24/7. Right, well, we'd better get out of here then. We'll be back next week when who knows what it'll be. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Phelan.
I've been Graham.
And I've been Will.
See you later.